Today I decided to take like a different route. I decided to actually bring someone in to talk about experiences together. This
Yeah,
is Tommy, known him since high school.
nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. Today we wanted to talk about how to enjoy life, and something that really stands out to me is definitely chasing overall long-term fulfillment over short-term joy.
Yeah,
A lot of people they'll maybe go out for the weekend and drink and come back and not really feel that happy about it at all. They'll feel a lot of regret, and then they'll do that actually the next weekend, the weekend after that. And I think in doing that, you're kind of creating a cycle of, like you're not really building something, you're just living in a cycle. And sometimes that may not be partying, that may be doing a job that you don't really enjoy. You'll be in a cycle of going there and just not feeling fulfilled, not feeling like you're building towards anything, and just getting a paycheck, using it, getting a paycheck, using it. And then I think if you devote that energy into actually creating something that you can work on over several years, or maybe building more opportunities for yourself in the future to find that, I think that's something that you can work on. What do you think?
yeah, I think that's definitely it's something that's really important. I think a lot of people these days really value more short-term gains versus their long-term gains because they think if, like you mentioned, like going out every weekend, if you were to do that, then yeah, you're gonna have fun for the weekend, but you're gonna push away things that you could have done instead that might have been able to help you prepare for your future and prepare for where you actually want to be in life.
Yeah.
All right. Similar, I think there's two sides of the spectrum here. There's some people that only know how to let loose and they live their entire life like it has to be a highlight reel or a movie. And then there's the people that do nothing but grind and they don't know how to let loose. So they're all about this grind set mindset, which in some ways is a good thing, but I think that it's perfect to always have a balance of the two. You know when you should be doing things like studying or working on a skill or doing things that are more fulfilling towards yourself in that aspect. And then you also should have times where you can go out with your friends, you can maybe even go to a party, you can go out one night, but that just shouldn't be neither of them should really be your like true focus in life. But if I were to say anything, I think that you should lean more towards the staying grounded side because, like you said, people prioritize those short-term
Right.
gains over the long-term gains. And if you're able to focus on working towards the future a little more than that, obviously, like I said, they'll let loose sometimes. But if you focus on working towards the future more than you do like short-term enjoyment, you're definitely going to thank yourself in a couple months, couple years. Because at the end of the day, like for example, if you want to go on a diet and go to the gym, that's a lot harder than just eating six donuts in a day. But one of them is going to make you feel happier when you're eating the donuts, and the other one's going to make you feel like I don't want to get up this early and go to the gym. But in 3 months, when you've lost the weight and now you're in better shape, you're going to be thankful that you made the decision to go to the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, like from personal experience, I've experienced like both sides of this in the span of
Yeah,
about a year, and there's a lot of problems that come from both sides, and they're pretty opposite. Like for example, when I didn't have a job and I played video games all day, it was fun, and I got really really close with my friends. But at the same time, college was coming up. Like I was gonna have to grind on the SAT, college application, stuff like that, and I was like, hold on, I got nothing, like no extracurriculars. GPA is not like spectacular,
yeah,
and so I picked up a job, and I like really focused on ice hockey. I really wanted to make that season really important and have some good qualities that I could bring into college. And I found myself not only losing friends, but also friends that still enjoyed my time. I actually withdrew from them unintentionally, and I think in doing that, these friends kind of grew in life without me, and I fell back in not only my relationships with my friends, but also my family. I was not really home that often to actually like have a family meal, and I would always wake up before them to go to practice and get back later than them because I had work. And so it took me a really long time to kind of find that balance between building my friendships and then also focusing on building my resume up and
yeah,
just being a better person overall. And then I think part of that most important thing is that you actually surround yourself with people that will not only support you when you're building that up, but also people that are gonna let you relax and people that are also doing the same thing outside of you. And then when you come together, you don't have to have that constant grind all the time.
So another topic that I wanted to bring up is enjoying life responsibly is not just about you. I think it's about finding a purpose or a system or a calling beyond yourself in order to keep you grounded because this is especially when your emotions or your relationships with people, like let's say you go through a breakup and plans for the future start to shift and it's no longer what you thought it was the day before. I think that if your joy depends entirely on your mood, money or situation or whatever, it's not joy, it's a transaction. I think that real joy comes from being connected to something that doesn't shift when everything else does. So for me, that purpose that I have beyond myself, sorry about that, is definitely Christianity. I'm a firm believer in the words of Jesus Christ, and it's helped me through so much in life. And because life is not, if some shit is gonna be thrown in the fan, you're gonna run into things that you don't expect and you can't prepare for. And these plans that you have for the future, they're not set in stone. You can't actually prepare for the future. So I think that having that anchor beyond myself, it really helps me take life in a different light and be able to move through things with more confidence and move through life with a different kind of perspective versus someone who has no purpose beyond the moment. And like I mentioned, their joy and their happiness and all of their emotions come from what happens at that time. Because, like I said earlier, that's more of a transaction than actual joy.
Right. Like I think before I got into Christ and just like religion in general, this actually like a couple months ago. I
Hmm.
only started this January, but a lot of my value as a man kind of relied on my GPA or how
Yeah.
much money I made at my job.
Hmm.
And I think oftentimes God will remove things from your life when He can see that either you're not going in the direction that He wants you to go, or that whatever that thing is drawing you further from Him.
Hmm.
And I was in a lot of places in my life where there were a lot of outside factors that I now see are not from Him,
Hmm.
and they were dragging me further and further down a wrong path. Started doing weed a little bit, and I think that kind of drew me further away from what I used to have strong morals in.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, for example, I never touched any of that stuff, and I started doing edibles, and I was like, wow, like my high school self would be livid seeing this right
Yeah.
now. And so I feel like in doing that, uh, something I've learned is that sin leads to further sin, and so I was going down a wrong path, and God removed certain people from my life, not because of weed in general, but they removed people from my life that maybe pressured me into trying to do such things, and I started noticing that I found myself a lot more peaceful, and I found myself enjoying my life a lot more, even though I was more lonely at times, because I was okay with not being with bad influences if it meant that I could be alone with what I believed in. And so I think that's something that you really have to know to yourself. Peer pressures are really hard, barrier to overcome, because I think a lot of people are scared to be alone. And when I
Hmm.
got into actually trusting God, like fully trusting in God, I realized that I was okay without anyone else really.
Yeah.
And as long as I had Him, then I wouldn't ever feel lonely like I did before,
Hmm.
and I would never feel inclined to go to bad influences, even though I didn't have anyone else to hang out with. And then that kind of brings me to another point about really how to enjoy yourself. A lot of people, when they first start college or they first start a new experience, they're gonna have FOMO or fear of missing out.
Hmm.
And oftentimes, when I started college, all my friends they would go to parties, bars, whatever, and I would usually stay in my room and play games with my friends back home, or I
Hmm.
would maybe go to the gym. I would play basketball, just ice hockey, some sport. And people ask me like, "Do you get FOMO?" And I didn't even know what that was at the time. And I was like, "No. Like, why would I go somewhere that I already have tried and already don't enjoy when I
Yeah.
could do something that I do enjoy?"
Hmm.
And I think in doing that, you can kind of set. Not only are those boundaries going to help you, do what's best for you, but also just being aware of the fact that you really have free will. You don't have to choose to do things because other people are doing them.
Yeah.
And I think this can apply to like FOMO in relationships. You know, a lot of people they'll see in social media like all these relationships look very perfect, and you may say, "Oh, I want that myself," and you may actually fall for the wrong person,
Mm.
and you may think that you are going to look like what you see in social media, and you may not realize that that's not only a clouded image that they put on, but you're also trying to impersonate that, as you may project these things onto someone else and expect them to live up to that standard, and that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, 100%. I also think that some people are so caught up with fitting in today and doing things that other people do. And, for example, like you mentioned with the weed, it's like, I'm going to do that because my friends do it. And they don't really, I feel like a lot of people are losing their sense of individuality because at the end of the day, you are you. And I think there should be joy in being yourself. And I don't think you should chase the fulfillment that you get from other people through things like that because it's very fragile. And going back to a point that we made earlier, that's a transactional joy. It's not a long-term joy. It's not a joy that'll last. It's a transactional joy. So I think people need to. It's almost like I saw this one term online. Instead of FOMO, it's JOMO, which is joy of missing out, which is basically if your friends are going to do something that you don't enjoy and you don't want to do, then you'd be happier just staying home and doing something that you do enjoy, like you mentioned,
Right.
versus going out and doing something that you wouldn't enjoy just
Yeah.
because they're going and you want to fit in and you want to be like everybody else.
Right. I mean, that just it all just comes right back, right? You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
talked about how you have to surround yourself with the right people that are gonna help you build up
Mhm.
and kind of find that balance. And I think having people that are gonna try to pressure you into doing something you don't enjoy, that's the kind of influence that you kind of want to distance from. But at the same time, you want friends that are gonna be, they can enjoy what they want to enjoy. So if they
Mhm.
enjoy going to the bars, if they enjoy smoking weed, that can be okay with you. But as long as they don't pressure you to do these things and they say,
Mhm.
I enjoy that you're here regardless if you do that or not,
Yeah.
that's something that you really have to appreciate in a friend and be more gravitated towards.
Yeah.
Because not only are they being individual in themselves, but they're allowing you to be individual as well. And both of you make kind of an agreement to appreciate each other's individuality,
Yeah.
if you will.
Well, this has been a great talk. I had a lot of fun being here. Dylan, thanks for bringing me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely want to come again sometime. But yeah, I think that this guy says a lot of good things on his channel. I've
Thank
been
you.
watching his videos, and it's nice to get a different perspective on life from someone that I feel like is truly working on themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I want to do stuff like this like a lot more.
Hmm.
If you know me and like you're in the area, this would be a pretty nice thing to do.
Yeah,
So my comments are open, Discord's open. Just reach out wherever you can, and I hope to talk to you guys later. This is a really fun thing to do with
yeah.
someone else, and I want to experiment with this a little bit more. I hope to talk to you guys in the next video.